Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. An Honorable, my supervisor, Prof. Dr. Kisman Salija MPD, and Ma'am Dr. Nur Aini SPD MPD, and my examiners, Prof. Dr. Syarifuddin Dola MPD, and Dr. Ahmad Salib MPD. Let me introduce myself. My name is Syafina, and I'm a student from English Education 2020. In this occasion, I would like to present my research proposal with title Read, Encode, Annotate, and Ponder Read Strategy to Improve Students' Reading Comprehension. Chapter 1, Introduction. A. Background. Reading. Reading is one of the important aspects in our life. Reading is an activity to see a text and understand the content of the text. A lot of benefits we can get through reading. For example, enriching vocabulary, improving writing and speaking skills from remembering the new word that we get from reading. There are two types of reading. The first is reading aloud, that we need a loud voice, and the second is silent reading, without voice and requires concentration. According to Cardigan, silent reading is focused on reading comprehension. According to Studi Journal 2011, that comprehension is a person's ability to understand something and after that it is known and remembered. The process of understanding in reading is related to the text that students read. They must describe the message conveyed by the author in their way. In fact, there are still many students in Indonesia who have difficulty understanding text, especially English reading text. The same things happen to the 8th grade students of SMP Negeri 30 Makassar. The core difficulties experienced by students in reading comprehension were the first, they have difficulty understanding unfamiliar words because they have a lack of vocabulary. And the second is students' lack of interest in reading. Seeing the difficulties faced by students when carrying out reading comprehension activity, the researchers tried to use the REAP strategy to check whether the use of REAP was effective in improving students' reading comprehension skills. Previous research. There is some previous research done by the researchers related to applying REAP strategy. The first is the effect of Read, Encode, Annotate, and Ponder REAP strategy towards students' reading comprehension by VND 2019. In this research, they used quasi-experimental and exposition text as instruments. The next is the effectiveness of using Read, Encode, Annotate, and Ponder REAP technique towards students' reading comprehension at SMA Negeri 1 Suradu, Kabupaten Pasangkayu by Hasmiati 2020. This research used quasi-experimental with using descriptive text as instrument. And the last is the influence of using read strategy, Read, Encode, Annotate, and Ponder strategy towards students' reading comprehension on read context at the second semester at the 8th grade of MTS Al Mubarak, Bandar Mataram in academic year 2020 and 2021 by Octavia 2021. This is quasi-experimental. And the difference between previous research and this research lies in the approach and focus on students' reading instruments. This research will use a pre-experimental with one pre-test and post-test group, and the instrument of this research will use narrative text as instrument. B. Problem statement. Is the use of Read, Encode, Annotate, and Ponder REAP strategy effective in improving students' reading comprehension? See the objectives of the research. To find whether the use of REAP strategy is effective in improving students' reading comprehension, and these significances of the research. The first is development of an additional knowledge strategy, especially in learning reading comprehension by using the REAP strategy. The second is the use of REAP strategy enables the student to improve their reading comprehension and writing skills. And the last is may become a reference to the next researchers who want to know about a similar problem. Chapter 2, Literature Review. Number 1, Reading. According to Sang 2003, page 6, reading is an activity to understand written text which include perception and assault as a complex activity. According to Panami 2012, reading is a process of thinking, judging, imagining, reasoning, and problem solving. And according to Zhou 2018, reading, obtaining on information, deepening knowledge because of knowing the function contained in readings, and interpreting the meaning that is written in a text. So we can conclude that reading is just not to get the message to be conveyed by the author, but also a process of thinking about what is read, analyze cause and effect, problem solving, and understanding its meaning, which aims to increase knowledge. Number 2, reading techniques. Reading technique divided into two: A. Extensive reading. B. Intensive reading. A. Extensive reading divided into two. There is skimming and scanning. Skimming is a reading without having to memorize the detail. And scanning is a reading when students read directly to the problem they are looking for with getting certain or facts or information. While intensive reading, according to Samino, intensive reading is a reading activity that carries out very careful, usually read slowly, intending to understand the entire context to reading deeply. Or we can conclude that intensive reading is reading comprehension. Number 3, reading comprehension. According to Nurdian Toro 2010, page 3069, reading comprehension requires to focus on understanding the content of the text to get the right meaning in the text. According to Sardona and Slamet, 2014, page 133, reading comprehension is a reading activity with full appreciation to absorb what students or readers will master. So we can conclude that reading comprehension is a reading activity that requires appreciation, concentration, and attention to understand and analyze the content and the meaning contained in a text. 4. Factors that affect reading comprehension ability. A. Internal, there as a language, interest, and the ability of the student. And B. External is a reading element such as the types or the kind of reading books and the reader's environment, such as teacher preparation before, during, and after reading. 5. Assessment of reading comprehension skills. There are four, according to Miran 2019, there are four reading comprehension assessment or indicators. The first is able to identify the main idea in the text. The second is able to identify specific information of the text. The third is able to identify lexicogrammatical text. And the last is able to identify the meaning of the text, word, and sentence. And according to Andini Nunik in the study 2019, suggests that reading comprehension can be measured by the percentage of correct answer about the content of the reading. 6. Read, encode, annotate, and ponder REAP strategy. REAP is a strategy to help students read and understand the content of the passage. Read divided into 4 steps. R, E, A, P. R, that according to Rudel, read the text, jot down the title and author. E, encode the text by putting the main idea in your own language or your words. A, annotate by writing the statement that summarize the important points. And the last, ponder is the text by thinking and talking about what you learned. Conceptual framework. Students' reading skills. In SMP Negeri 30 Makassar, still get a difficult to understand the text, especially in reading English text. So, in this research, I would like to research students' reading comprehension. The first is I would like to know the students' reading skills using RIP strategy. I will give pre-test, treatment, and post-test. After that, I will analyze the research data analysis to get the information or to get the final data about students' reading comprehension. The hypothesis H0 using RIP is not effective to improve students' reading comprehension. HA using RIP is effective to improve students' reading comprehension. Chapter 3 Research Methodology Research Design. This research will use quantitative with pre-experimental one group pretest and post-test. O1 is a pretest, X is a treatment, and O2 as a post-test. Population and sample. This population is 8th grade students of SMP Negeri 30 Makassar, which has 11 class, approximately have 13 students, and the sample is will take one class from the target population consisting of 30 students of the class A. Instrument of the research, the form of a written test which consists of 20 multiple choice questions. Technique of collecting data, we'll use pretest, treatment, and post-test. And the last is technique of analysis data, scoring the student answer, classify the score of the student, and all the data analysis will use SSPS program. I think that's all for me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.